Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final session of this series of virtual open days. Today's session is going to focus on experiential learning here at UWC Dilijan. First of all, I hope that everyone is safe and well wherever you are around the world. My name is Stephanie Oliver Michel, and I will be moderating today's session. I'm from Canada, and I'm part of the class of 2021 here at UWC Dilijan. I'm currently at home back in Canada as a result of this pandemic. In fact, today was actually the day I was supposed to be flying home from campus if everything had gone to plan. So joining me here today, we have our speakers, our head of college, Gabriel Ernesto Abad Fernandez, our outdoor education instructor, Kirsty Bryan, as well as some alumni who are going to talk about the projects and co-curricular activities they took part in during their stay at UWC Dilijan. So UWC Dilijan is an independent nonprofit international boarding school. It's part of the United World Colleges global movement, which aims to unite people, nations, and culture through education for peace and a sustainable future. There are 18 UWC schools around the world, and in 2014, UWC Dilijan was established in Dilijan, Armenia, on the ancient Silk Route, connecting Asia and Europe at the crossroads of Europe, the Middle East, and Russia, a location which symbolizes the idea of internationalism and friendship. So as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about experiential and outside classroom learning. Before we hear from our speakers, I'd just like to thank Future Studios for hosting this session. And I'd also like to remind you that there will be a Q&A session later on. So if ever you have any questions, feel free to send them in the Facebook comments and we'll answer them later. So first, we're going to hear from our head of college, Gabriel, who's going to say a few words about experiential learning and how it ties into the IB and UWC Dilijan.
Okay, over to me. Thank you, Stephanie. Merci. Hi, my name is Gabriel, as you heard, and have the privilege of being the head of UWC Dilijan College. And I'm going to start by making a quick reflection on education. Many of us think of education and automatically think of classrooms and books. And indeed, classrooms and books are important components of an education. But I'm going to ask you one thing. Would you remember what you learned in grade 8 math class? I have no clue. I listen to my daughter do her homework now, and the things that I know I studied, and it looks like double Dutch, total Chinese to me. And I should know them because I studied them, spent a lot of time on that, but I don't remember them. But I can remember things that happened 35 years ago. I can remember my first kiss, totally, all information, where I was, the person, the color of the clothes I was wearing. So why is it different? And the difference is that you experience one. On the other one, you can be almost a passive recipient. So in UWC, we believe in experiential education, which means you need to know, but you also need to do, you need to be, you need to act. So of course you have to study math, like you have to go to the dentist. There's many other things that you have to do. And one of them is experience things that you do outside. Going to a different place, learning a new language, interacting with people who come from a different culture, trying to eat something that you never eaten, realizing why Indian people use one hand to eat but not the other one, and why you get it so wrong if you try to use the wrong hand. All of those things, you can read them in the book, but they get imprinted in you in a very different way when you experience them. So we expect all the students who come to any UWC and to UWC Dilijan to experience, to learn by doing, by being, by connecting to other people. And that will depend. For some students, it is not a challenge to sit down, read a book in one go, and then writing an essay. I love that. I'm very comfortable doing that. But if you ask me to do an 8-hour trek in the mountains, I will certainly be outside my comfort zone. Or some people love learning languages and have no problem in picking up Armenian, whereas other people are very particular with the food and they feel very uncomfortable when they're invited by Armenian family to an Armenian meal and they have to eat things that they don't know what they are or that they don't like or they smell funny. But you have to do it. And all those are the lessons that actually prepare us to be adults, citizens, global citizens who are able to operate across cultures. Yes, we all share mathematics. Yes, we all have our own literatures, and we need that. But the things that you don't get taught in a class, you have to experience them. So in Dilijan, you could be doing things like robotics. We have students who never experienced robotics. We have students representing Armenia, not being Armenian, in an international robotics competition. Or you could be trekking. You could be experiencing the outdoor. We have students who've never seen snow. And the first time that it snows in Dilijan, in Armenia, we have this parade, which ends up with lots of people going to the clinic the following day with a cold, because it looks beautiful to go out in the snow, just wearing swimmers and jump on the snow. And then the following day when you have a temperature, Dr. Nara is waiting for you, telling you, I told you, you cannot do that. But you can be told that 30 times. Until you experience it, it doesn't really click in. Like they say in English, the penny drops. And that's why we spend so much time. That's why we commit so many resources to education outside the classroom. On campus, in the residencies, off campus in Dilijan, in the Dilijan Community Center, trekking, going to Lake Sevan to have a go at sailing Lake Sevan. All of those are essential because I can bet money that the things that people remember 20 years later will be that teacher who inspired them, but also that trek, but also that first time that they had to navigate an Armenian meal in which when you think that they're finished, you realize it's only the starters and then you're trying to be polite and you keep eating thinking, am I gonna explode? But you have to go through that. So we're very proud that we are not the kind of school that just focuses on academics and results. Of course, they're important and they're one part of making you an accomplished citizen for the future, but there's so much more that you need to do. And in that sense, this is a great place to do that because we are a global school. We have over 80 nationalities in an Armenian valley that is on the Silk Road, connecting Georgia, Armenia, Iran, with an airport that connects to the world, and that's truly special. So we're very proud of the opportunities to have an UWCD education that takes the UWC ideals, mix it with the Armenian context and flavor, and produces students like the ones you're gonna meet now, and alumni like the one you're meeting. So I'm gonna hand you to the person who actually does the trek. I talk about trekking, she's the one doing the treks. So over to Kirsty, our outdoor officer.
Hi, sorry, hope you can hear me now. Unbelievably, I'm not actually in the south of France, which the weather would have you believe at the moment. I'm actually in the north of England. And like Gabrielle said, I'm the outdoor officer for UWC. So I'm just going to put my sunglasses on because it's incredibly bright. You will have seen from that short video that we just showed that UWC sits in the most spectacular location. You literally can look out of any window at UWC and you're looking out onto forested mountain slopes, you're looking out onto hills, and it's this mostly spectacular blue sky and the mountains in the distance. And what it does is it offers us the most awesome range of activities, some completely on our doorstep, some completely within the confines of campus, but also within possibly just an hour's drive, we've got access to all these great activities, like Gabrielle mentioned, again, up at Lake Sevan, or even just a little bit further up the road, we can get ourselves up to Sakatzour, which is a world-class ski resort. So how it works for outdoor and sporting and CAS activities. Throughout the week, we have slots at various different times where we can do activities on campus, or we can go within the local area for activities. And this may be short hikes, or it might be short mountain bike trips, or maybe doing some bushcraft, that kind of thing. And we can do all that fairly close to campus. However, on a weekend, we offer this really great activity program, which can let us go a bit further afield to places to do overnight treks, or to visit more remote regions. In addition to this, we've also got the project weeks, and the project weeks have often, quite a few of them have a really good outdoor focus. In the last couple of years, we've had some great sailing project weeks up at Lake Sevan. We've had trekking down in Goris, down in the south of the country. We've had climbing in Noravank Canyon. We've had hiking in Vyatsol. We've had these awesome opportunities that we just need to go a little bit further afield for. So how we operate as an outdoor and sports department, our main focus is very much, first and foremost, it's on safety, which means that we need to get several things right. So one of the first things we need to have is the right staff leading the activities, who are appropriately qualified and appropriately experienced to make sure that you have a really good, safe outing wherever it is you choose to go. The second thing is that all our activities are appropriately risk assessed, which means that we look at each activity and look at what is appropriate risk and how we manage that, whether that's in terms of location or the equipment or the type and level of activity that we take part in. And every single one that we do has a risk assessment to make sure that we're doing it to the highest safety standards. The third thing is what I've just mentioned there, is about our equipment. So on campus, we are really, really fortunate to have an awesome outdoor store, which is completely stocked with boots and waterproofs and backpacks and tents, in addition to all our full winter equipment as well, which has got skis and poles and helmets and snowshoes, everything that you'd need to take part in an activity. And our aim is that even if you come to Dilijan and you haven't got any of this kit, that we should be able to supply you as best as possible in order for you not to miss out on some of the awesome activities that we've got on offer. Also, we have a great bike store, which is full of our fantastic range of specialized mountain bikes. And also we've got some bikes that we use for students can use for just going.
Sorry, Christy, we're having trouble hearing you. Can you repeat the last part about the storage area and the bikes? We didn't hear that part. Okay, so just while these technical problems get resolved, for everyone to visualize the amazing nature that surrounds our campus and the range of activities that we can do, we're going to present a little video.
دیگه ما دیگه هلا های دونه یار هیچ دیگه باختن کارین خود دیگه هلا های دونه یار برین که دانیگه مسرال ما دیگه هلا های دونه یار دستان فیر یار نرخودی هلا های دونه یار دونه یار هلا های دونه یار دونیگه دونه یار هلا های دونه یار دونه یار هلا های دونه یار دونیگه دونه یار هلا های دونه یار
donde ya kazun kazi kani era sara aito donde ya armen kazi tazim maras ara aito donde ya armen tazim parking mertas ara aito donde ya donde ya ara aito donde ya donde ya ara aito donde ya donde ya ara aito donde ya
Okay, Christy, do you want to finish or? Oh, your mic is muted. Your mic is muted.
First time in ages, the internet completely dropped out. So I'm back. So I was just talking about our the staff being one of the most important parts of the safety for the outdoors. So I've been leading expeditions across the world for kind of the last 25 years, and I am really glad to have on board Gore, who is our local instructor. Gore is absolutely a complete fountain of knowledge about all manner of things to do with Dilijan National Park. He knows so much about the flora and fauna, and he's really interested in caving and biking. So as a team, we really feel that we're able to offer a whole range of activities. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the activities that we offer as part of CAS and the sports and outdoor program. Largely, they're kind of separated into two different kind of time frames. So we've got kind of our summer program and also our winter program. Summer, we get involved in activities such as rock climbing, and we started a climbing academy this year, using lots of local gorges and local outcrops to go climbing, developing climbing skills and safety skills in the students that went on that. Obviously, with being in the heart of the Dilijan National Park, we've got some absolutely amazing opportunities for trekking and mountain walking, and really at different levels as well. So we've got short hikes for students that are maybe not so confident in their outdoor skills or getting out in the mountains, right through to kind of multi-day trips up into the mountains as well. And quite often we have a bit of a focus for each of the treks. So it might be looking at photography or ecology or local history, maybe learning new skills as well in kind of map reading and navigation. Gore, like I said, is really into his mountain biking, so we take advantage of that, and we've got some great mountain biking trips up into the valleys and up into the mountains. Again, really quite on our doorstep. We're so lucky to have that. In the winter, we have a really excellent program as well. We try, one of our big aims for myself and Gore is to try and get everybody who has never had a go at skiing before to have a weekend at least of skiing. So even if you've never been in the snow before, one of our big plans and what we hope to kind of manage every year is that everybody can get out, have a couple of days of lessons and really get to grips with skiing. There's no pressure though, so if it's not something that you're interested in, there's other ways to get out in the winter. We've got snowshoeing, which is essentially trekking in the mountains in the winter with big snowshoes on your feet, and we've had some lovely hikes to some great local places for kind of picnics in the snow and little barbecues and things, which have been really good fun. And we've also got cross-country skiing as well. So if you're not kind of into the thought of kind of flying downhill with skis on, then definitely cross-country skiing is the way to go. And year round, we've got all sorts of activities as well. We run throughout the week, just locally on site or out into the town. Last year we took part in the Yerevan Marathon, and we had over 60 students and staff take part in the marathon and the 5K races and the 10K races, and it was a really great opportunity for everyone to get together and get involved in something as well. So yeah, hopefully that's our plan. We've got so many great opportunities, so many great activities so close to us, and we just want to try our hardest to get everybody involved and make sure everyone kind of has a go at something at a level that they're happy with, and hopefully learn some new skills and get some great experience out of it along the way, because we really think it really complements the academic side of the learning at UWC. That's me.
Great, thank you, Kirsty. I'm just going to talk a little bit briefly about CAS. So CAS basically stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. It's a component of the IB diploma program, and CASs are like co-curricular activities. So as Kirsty said, students take part in them outside of class time. And students are also required to fill in a CAS portfolio, which allows us to not only engage in the activities, in the CAS activities, but also to acknowledge and reflect on our learning. So I'm just going to talk about my CASs quickly. So I think CAS experiences take on a different role for each student. So for me, for example, during my first semester here at UWC Dilijan, everything was very new for me, as it was for all the new students. So it was a new school, new friends, new country, new home, and through all of these new things, I decided to participate in CASs that were a bit more familiar to me. So for example, I used to teach gymnastics back home. So I started teaching gymnastics to kids at school. I also used to really love swimming. So I joined a swimming group that allowed me to swim a few times a week. And that really allowed me to bring my home to UWC and to sort of ground myself at school. And then during the second term, I started like branching out and exploring a little bit more. So I tried things like water polo and ceramics, and I went rock climbing outdoors with Kirsty, and those are all things that I had never done before, and CAS then became an opportunity for me to try so many things. And also what's great about our school is that people come from such diverse backgrounds, and that lends to the diversity of our CAS activities. So like I had a friend, she really loved ballroom dancing, and she started a ballroom dancing CAS. So everyone can start a CAS based on their past experiences and based on what they used to do back home or anything that they want to start on campus. And so this like provides another platform for students and staff members to exchange knowledge and experiences, and it's very enriching. And also, as you're going to see, when our alumni talk about their project, some of these CASs can really stand the test of time and challenges like this COVID-19 pandemic. So some CASs that were taking place during this year are still going on thanks to online platforms. So before we left campus, I was teaching French at the local community center, and we're still now continuing our lessons through Zoom, and it's really nice. It's a nice way to stay in touch and to continue interacting with our friends and our students. So now we're going to hear from our alumni who are going to tell us about their projects and how these projects led to their personal growth. So first, we're going to hear from Cedric Solms, an alumni from Germany who graduated in 2017, who started the APAGA project. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here live with us today. So we have a video, a pre-recorded video of him presenting his project.
Study economics in Munich. And hello, my name is Cedric, and I graduated UWC Dilijan in 2017. Now I'm 22 years old and study economics in Munich. And yeah, I am thankful for the opportunity to talk today a bit about the project I started together with a few friends in UWC Dilijan, and also how UWC Dilijan helped me or us develop our project from a very basic idea to a big project with real impact. So yeah, let's get right into it. So in 2015, so around 5 years ago now, I came to Armenia, and from the very beginning I was amazed by the beautiful landscape and by the beautiful mountains, and also by the very warm-heartedly people that really are welcoming. And however, I was wondering, because every time when we went for sports outside or hiking or something, you would see trash laying around, which I didn't know so much in Germany. And that's weird for different reasons. Like, first of all, it's very bad for the agriculture, because the animals are eating that and they are not so productive anymore. Then a lot of waste in Armenia, most of it gets burned. So it creates hazardous steams that then get into the air and into the lungs and really harm the health of the people. And then, of course, Armenia is also a country that has a very high unemployment rate, and the waste industry is an industry where usually it's very labor intensive and you can create a lot of jobs. So with all this in mind somehow, I got some friends together and we started to think, how can we maybe tackle this problem of waste pollution, and how can we maybe establish some recycling scheme or something. So we got together in the school and thought about it, and we quickly realized that we have no idea how to run a project, how to run a business. We have no idea about Armenia and the Armenian waste industry. And so we started together with Armin from Armenia. Okay, he knew Armenia. Then Artyom from Russia and Misha also from Russia to inform ourselves, but also already start organizing different events like art workshops or lectures or different competitions, writing competitions, mainly for students that were Armenian students, so like local people, and mainly young people, because we thought, okay, if we want to raise awareness about this issue, we should start with the young people. So we did that, and then we were really happy to get great support from UWC Dilijan, especially also the director and the husband of the director, Neil. And we also were really happy to get so great support from the school itself. So after 1 year of doing this raising awareness campaigns, we thought, okay, now we want to establish some kind of organization, but for that we needed funding. So at the graduation of the year above us, we asked the school if we could do a fundraising campaign there, and they allowed us to do that, and they even helped us to set up everything. And then we did this fundraising campaign, and we were really happy because we got a lot of sponsors there, investors, also, for example, Veronika Sohn-Abend, the founder of the school, which showed us, first of all, okay, people are interested, and second of all, it enabled us to go on and move on further to do bigger projects to reach more people. And that's what we did then over the time of our school in UWC Dilijan. And it was a great learning experience, because it was an environment where, of course, you have a lot of freedom to try different things, because you are somehow protected within the walls of UWC Dilijan, or not the walls, but also the people, because it's a very supportive community. So like there was nobody like trying to put us down or something, or saying, oh, why are you doing that? You should focus on studying or something. No, it was rather the opposite, of people really trying to help, and also really helping and coming to us, how can we help at such an amazing project that you're doing. Yeah, so that was really amazing. Now it's already nearly 5 minutes, I tried to cut it short. So fast forward, we finished our school in UWC Dilijan, and we decided, or we were thinking, now we talked a lot about the problem, but we didn't really solve anything. So we decided we wanted, Misha from Russia and I decided we stay 1 more year, at least longer, to try to really make this a reality, not only reality, but to implement the ideas that we had about recycling. So not just raising awareness, not just information, but actually putting something in place. So we started founding a company that was a recycling company in Dilijan, and again we had great support from the school and from from teachers from the school that helped us to set up machinery and figure out details, from the board of the schools that helped us to fundraise, and just really cool. And then for 1 year we did this. We learned a lot in this time because we did a lot of things wrong. And then after 1 year, this business, we had to stop running this business because it wasn't viable. So we were at the point where we didn't know what to do. But then again, we had a great network of the school and people encouraging us to continue. So we decided, okay, we try one more. And that's when we started Apaga, which is a close joint stock company now. And it's basically an IT company that manages the logistics of recycling. And also here again, we were able to use the network of the school and to help find us investors. So we got investors on board, and now we are having around 20 people working in Yerevan on the projects. Misha and I decided now for ourselves that we want to focus on our education right now. So we hired directors that are taking over the responsibilities of managing it. But it's amazing to see that starting from such a small idea that was just like a thing that you saw, like a problem that was seen somehow in the landscape, we were able to develop it into like a big project, and that was only possible, I strongly believe, because of the support of the school and the network of the school. So I have to say UWC Dilijan is definitely a great place to go if you are somehow entrepreneurial. Is that right? If you're somehow interested in entrepreneurship and want to do your own projects. And yeah, that's now a bit over the time. I hope that's fine. And then I wish you a good session to continue. Bye.
Okay, so thank you. I hope that everyone enjoyed that and learned a bit more about the Apaga project. Now we're going to hear from another alumnus from the class of 2017. Katja is going to tell us a bit more about the Caucasus Connect project. So Katja, I'll leave the ground to you.
Hi, yes, my name is Katja. I am from Russia, but I'm currently studying in London, where I'm based right now. And I was part of the second generation, so it was a really exciting time to be part of the school, because we had the chance to shape a lot of how CAS was approached and the framework of CAS kind of within the school. And I think it's important to stress from the beginning that what makes UWC different from another IB school is the fact that again, education is used as a force to unite people across various boundaries. And I think the UWC education, and beyond the IB education, but also inclusive of it, it doesn't and it shouldn't stop at the individual. And the whole idea of UWC is to kind of plant seeds in people who go on to change things and to make a difference wherever they end up in their life and in the world. And I think that the key point here is that the change that happens obviously at an individual level is something that is exponential over time. So all of these little changes add up, and I think that time at UWC, and particularly with CAS activities, as I will explain with my experience shortly, it really it makes people confident that these little individual changes can have a long-term, wider and deeper impact in society. So two CASs that I was part of during my time at UWC were Global Affairs, and then I helped to co-found an initiative called Caucasus Connect. So Global Affairs was something that was started by our second years, which was a CAS where people could come together and share stories and the realities of their countries, even though many of these realities kind of didn't always match up in textbooks. And so this was a space in which we could discuss those differences and why we had those differences, and kind of come to more often than not a place of understanding. And I think it was this experience within Global Affairs, which I then helped to take over in my second year, that gave me and some other students the confidence to to start Caucasus Connect, which is an initiative to bring together youth from across the Caucasus through the creative arts. And Caucasus Connect, the idea to bring together youth from the region, which, as Stephanie mentioned at the beginning of the session, is incredibly diverse, rich in culture and history. This idea was kind of from the very, very beginning of the school. The school is in such a perfect place to do this kind of thing. But it wasn't feasible for a very long time. And it was only in our second year where we started to think how these pieces could come together. And initially, we weren't sure how we were going to do this and who we were going to include. And it required a lot of research and a lot of talking to people who were actually experts in this field. So that included grassroots NGOs in Armenia and in Georgia, as well as large organizations like UNICEF. Again, these fabulous connections that the school gave us, I think that was really a learning experience, because it was us as students leading this project and us as students liaising with the people in these NGOs, setting up meetings and calls, and it was up to us to make these decisions. And we were taken very seriously by the adults who kind of supported us in this process. So we decided at the end of that year that it was best to bring together minority groups from within Georgia for the first session. And it was a lot of work. There was a lot of stress that went into this whole process. I think we were very concerned about the welfare of all of the participants, all of the students that would be part of this project. And we wanted to make the first camp, the first creative arts camp, one that would kind of pave the path for future ones. And I remember we were all taking the bus from Dilijan to Tbilisi, which is, we held the camp somewhere in the outskirts of Tbilisi in our first year. And I remember sitting in this van. We left very early in the morning, like very, very early, because the drive was long. I was holding my Boda mug of coffee and wondering, what it was going to be this next week. And it was fantastic in the end. And a lot of the participants wrote to us afterwards saying that they had a really great time. We got to perform in a cafe in Tbilisi. And I think it was an excellent experience. And it definitely gave me personally the confidence to work on projects after graduating from UWC Dilijan. And I have to stress that while it was student-led, we had fantastic supervisors that were there to support the whole process, people who we could ask for advice in terms of what to do with the students that were participating, if there were any problems, and who also looked out for our well-being. So that's Caucasus Connect, and I'm very proud and happy to say that this project has been carried on for the years after I graduated as well. My sister was part of the project in her 2 years in Dilijan, and I hope that it continues to grow in the coming years. So yeah, that's from me.
Great. Thank you so much. I can say that I know a lot of people who participate in Caucasus Connect, and they had a great experience as well. So it has been continuing very well since its foundation. So lastly, we're going to hear from a very recent alumnus from the class of 2020. Pavel Gazarian is going to talk to us about coding cast and science with kids cast. So Pavel, the word is for you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So hello, everyone. My name is Pavel, and I'm from Armenia. Stephanie already mentioned I'm a graduate student of UWCD Dilijan 20. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I saw that. Yeah. I'm a graduate student of UWCD Dilijan 2020, fifth generation. Throughout my time at UWCD Dilijan, I have enjoyed every moment, and I acquired both academic and social skills. So I want to talk about the Toolcast project that I've founded, and also was one of the student leaders of these Toolcast projects. Starting off from the Science with Kids. So this CAST project was already an ongoing project when I joined UWC Dilijan in 2018. And I've chosen this project throughout all the 4 semesters that I was in Dilijan. The reason why I joined this CAS opportunity was that before enrolling even at UWC Dilijan, the idea that I had in my mind about UWC Dilijan was that UWC does not need to only develop as an educational institution in Dilijan, but it also is going to help and develop the local community of Dilijan in general. So for this, I've joined the Science with Kids Club. In Science with Kids, we would gather students and children from around the schools of Dilijan, aged around 11 to 15 years old. And we would conduct a lot of interesting and funny science experiments, which kids were, of course, always enjoying. And some of the experiments they were even doing themselves, of course, under our guidance. And the purpose of Science with Kids was that in Dilijan, most of the schools, they don't have the proper lab equipment for doing any kind of experiments, and most of the students they never see experiments. Even if sometimes they see that their teacher does an experiment, they don't have the opportunity to do themselves. And I can even remember myself in my previous school when before UWC Dilijan, we did not have the proper lab equipment, and I've never done an experiment in my life, and I've never seen one before coming to UWC Dilijan. So I thought that it is a great opportunity for all the local Dilijan schools and kids to have the chance to come to UWC Dilijan, conduct experiments, have a fun time. And so this class was actually taking place on Thursdays, and the kids were coming on Thursdays. However, we also had some meetings on Mondays when we would plan what experiments we were going to do, what materials we need to have, and which member is going to do the experiment. This was it about Science with Kids. About Coding Club, I would say that there was no such CAS project when I came to UWC Dilijan. But joining the Science with Kids gave me an idea of, as I was interested in programming, and I'm still interested, gave me an idea of sharing my available knowledge. And one of my friends at UWC Dilijan, Georg, also from Armenia, he helped me to start the CAS project of Coding Club. The idea of Coding Club was kind of similar to Science with Kids, because we would gather again kids from a local community of Dilijan that would like to study programming languages. We were teaching web development languages such as HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, PHP, and the group that was coming to us that we were teaching, in the end of the 2 months, would have like a great idea of how to program and how to create a great website. The problem when we were co-founding this project was that me and my friend found out that a lot of kids actually want to join this club around the city. But unfortunately, the school only had like 8 computers available for use of the visitors. So we needed to make some kind of choice to know which students, which kids we need to choose, and who is going to come to our project. So for this reason, we have created a kind of a medium level test that included a part of mathematics, English, and some of logical problems. And because we thought that kind of mathematics is one of the main components for programming, so we thought that we need to check actually how knowledgeable kids are. And in the end of the test, we created 5 groups, and we ordered them so that every 2 months the group would change. And the next great thing about this Coding Club was that after each group that was, let's say, finishing our course, we would ask the finished students, graduated, let's say, students, if they would like to volunteer with us and come to help us teach the other newcoming groups. So it was great for me that there was this volunteering opportunity in Dilijan, because before there are not many places in Dilijan where students who want to volunteer can go and participate in any project. So in general, these 2 classes have given me the opportunity to get closer with the local community of Dilijan and actually use the available equipment from school to help the Dilijan as a community to develop as a whole. And for example, in coding club, not many kids had private computers, had PCs in their home to do the homeworks. So, and this was kind of like it made me very happy when I saw that actually I'm teaching kids how to use computers, because they didn't, then some of them were like very, you know, happy that they're first time seeing computer and they're like programming something, then they're changing something new and making like colors or I don't know, videos, pictures. So it was a very happy opportunity for me. This was it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Pavel. We're now going to be moving on to the Q&A session. So once again, if you have any questions, just write them in the comments below and we'll try to answer them as best we can. So first, we're having a few questions about how the CAS schedule works and what qualifies as a CAS activity, especially specifically in terms of outdoor activities. So I don't know if, Kirsty, you want to maybe talk about how the CAS schedule works and yeah, how an activity qualifies as a CAS.
Hi, okay, you can hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Grant. So obviously the CAS is divided up into the three different areas, and I think has been kind of mentioned a few times. CAS is something that evolves quite a lot every year, and it evolves due to the interests and the experience of the students that come in. So at the start of term, we have a CAS fair, and the DP2s, the second years, will represent all the ideas that they've had for CASs that have maybe run over the last year or so. So that's everything from sporting activities like badminton and your football teams and your volleyball, through to the coding and the science clubs we've just been talking about. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry, my son. Asking for a banana. So there's kind of two ways of getting involved. Number one is to get involved with one of those activities that's already running and take part in that. And number two is to come up with your proposal yourself. And you would create a proposal and you come to the CAS team, which is myself and Armenia and Gore, and you'd come and you'd lay out what it is that you were wanting to propose. Depending on how we respond to that, we would then ask you to start looking for a supervisor. So a supervisor, again, which has been mentioned, is somebody in college, a member of staff in college, who is going to be there to help you kind of navigate through running a CAS. They're also there as, particularly in terms of things like the sporting activities, they're there as support and safety backup as well. So it's a coming together of your ideas, the experience that we have already amongst students and staff, and getting those two things together. Then what we have is kind of slots throughout the week in which those CAS activities take place. Some of them might happen on weekends, particularly if we're looking at sporting fixtures and things like that, but mostly there's a slot during the week which those CAS activities will run, and students are invited to get involved in whichever CAS activities they want. And obviously we encourage you to take part in activities not only that you've done before, like Stephanie was saying, but also to kind of get involved in those ones that are a bit kind of out of your comfort zone, and a bit new to you. And again, to reiterate what Stephanie said, quite a lot of students will maybe get involved in things in the first term that they've already, you know, they've a little bit of understanding of, perhaps just to kind of feel a bit more comfortable in kind of getting involved. But what we'd like you to do is encourage you to have a go at those activities that you've never ever done before, and propose ones of your own as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Can you just specify, if someone who's asking what outdoor activities qualify as long-term or short-term CASs? So maybe I don't know if you can talk a bit about like CAS projects, like maybe the difference or something like that.
Okay, so yeah, we've got a variety of different activities on offer. Some of the activities, particularly the sporting activities, generally run all year round because they can do. So you can get involved in teaching swimming with the primary school. You could get involved in badminton, those kind of activities all year round. We have some kind of more short-term CAS projects as well. So, for example, we ask for students to come and help with our winter skiing program. So we approach students who have got a huge amount of experience in skiing, and we ask them to come and help with the beginner sessions. So those shorter CAS projects can kind of add up to your overall kind of CAS hours. And I think that the big important thing that, again, Gabrielle said earlier on was it's about those experiences. They don't have to be something that you do all year, although that may be something that you'll get involved in a particular long-term project over 1 or 2 years at college. You can also get involved in short-term projects, such as coming on an outdoor project week. You might choose to come just for 1 week of sailing, and that's all you've done for sailing throughout the year. But when you come to the end of the end of that term, and you're starting to reflect on what you've learned from CAS and the experiences you're taking away from it, you might find that just that 1 week of sailing had a massive impact on your experience and how you viewed the outdoors and where you'd like to learn more. Almost just as much as an activity that you've maybe done for a couple of hours every single week throughout the year.
Great, thank you so much. We've mentioned a little bit what project weeks are. We have questions about what, more specifically, what a project week is and what that entails. So I don't know, maybe Gabriel, you want to say a few words on project weeks and what project weeks are?
Thank you, Stephanie. Project Week is a UWC feature that many schools have taken over, and it's taking a week off the academic timetable to go and do something where you can combine your passions for a new challenge. It could be that you want to explore creativity. We have students doing a week-long cooking course. We have students who've been painting or even building houses in Armenia or exploring the outdoors. Obviously, there's a big question mark on what will Project Week look like in a COVID world. So what I can tell you is that we're coming with all kinds of different plans of what can we do. At the moment, the degree of uncertainty is huge at all levels. So the important thing is to stay agile. And we're already exploring different ideas of what would a project week based on campus look like. Will we take students out for the day and back on campus? Can we run something on campus? You can even actually do outdoor activities on campus. We were joking about the possibility of setting up some tents and camp on campus, because we wanted to camp next week, but we checked with Armenian authorities and you cannot have more than 5 people anywhere. So we cannot go camping as we were originally planned. But the important thing is that we acknowledge that those are experiences that count and are part of the learning program. What will they be like? I cannot tell you right now because I'll be lying to you, but I can assure you that we're looking at any kind of thing, any kind of idea we get to make them authentic and learning experiences.
Great, thank you. We have another question that maybe Pavel or Katya, you can answer about how UWC is different from other IB institutions and how teachers maybe use different approaches or methodologies to teach UWC Dilijan classes.
Would you like to answer, Katya? Or?
Yeah, sure. You go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So what I want to notice, one of the main things of UWC Dilijan is that our teachers are around from all around the world. So, for example, my English teacher was from England, and she was kind of, when you have the native speaker of English and she's teaching you about literature and language, I think that's one of the best experiences, because she kind of, that native speaker knows kind of everything about English, and she kind of interprets all the books, all the, poems in the way that, let's say, the native speaker would say. The other thing that I would say that, for example, I was not used to a lot of different accents when I was coming to UWC Dilijan, and I would say that in my first 2 weeks, I did not understand, for example, my economics teacher, because she had kind of she was from India and she had an Indian accent, and because my English was not very well at that time, I couldn't understand a lot, like 99% of the things that she was saying. And this was a great opportunity for me to develop my understanding skills and kind of experiencing a new accent. And after like 1 month, I was understanding her perfectly. And like I could even get the words that she was not pronouncing half of the letters, but I would understand what she's meaning. And would you like to add up something that's like, yeah.
I would probably just add that I think the teachers as well, when they come to a UWC school, I think they come ready to also embrace the UWC kind of values and mission. And I think that makes it different to have a lot of teachers who are super engaged and are also excited about bringing together people from many different contexts in the same classroom. So for global politics, for example, that was a really exciting class for me. And not only because we were able to discuss things from people who actually came from different places, and most importantly, I think from different kind of socioeconomic contexts, because you don't always have that in schools and you don't always have those voices in the classroom, but also because our teacher kind of was really experimental with teaching methods, but in a way that he was always really excited about what it was that he was teaching. And I think when a teacher is excited about what they're delivering in the classroom, the students are automatically excited about that as well.
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that. I've experienced that as well. Next, we have, I think there needs to be a bit more clarity on like the CAS schedules, and if first years and second years do their CASs at the same time. So I can just give my experience on that. So currently the CAS schedule, you go to school during your timetable, so during the day. So right now school starts at 8:30 and it ends at various times in the day depending on what classes you have. And then there's a separate CAS schedule where the CAS leaders and supervisors organize the CAS activities, and then you can choose some at times that you're available and that you don't have classes. And then also if you have, let's say, classes for the whole day, there's also CASs in the evening, so you can also participate in that. And then lastly, also Thursdays, we only have a half day of classes, so the afternoon is solely for participation in CASs or in different projects. So that's also a time to participate in your CASs. And so yeah, first years and second years can do CASs together. Often, especially during the first term, second years lead a CAS, and then second years and first years can join a CAS, and then obviously first years can also start CASs later on. So I hope that answers. Just as a last question, we have this, I think, very popular question about what's happening with the new students coming in 2020 this year. I know, Gabriel, you've answered this question a few times, but do you want to just briefly explain how it's organized for students to reach the college and what's going to happen once they're on campus?
Yep. So let me explain what we're doing. We have changed plans and we're having sessions with new students on Saturday as well to explain how we're gonna do two very different things. We need to get everybody to Armenia before there's more waves and before there may be more problems with flights, while at the same time making sure that people are safe. So we're gonna get our second year students to come back earlier than originally planned. They're gonna come back into Armenia. We're giving them 1 week window to arrive, because some airlines that used to fly more regularly now only fly once a week. So we're giving a full week between 9th and the 16th of August for students to arrive. We'll pick them up at the airport with masks, gloves, all of that, and we're gonna take them to a hotel where they'll be having a PCR test. When the result of the PCR test comes out, if it's clear, we'll bring the students onto campus. If the test is positive, then obviously, then it's a medical thing and hospital supported by the college. When the students arrive on campus, we're going to have a 2-week quarantine for everyone. Because the PCR test, obviously, if you've been traveling, some of our students will be traveling a long way. Theoretically, they could pick it up on the way. So we still need to make sure there's a quarantine, during which we'll be keeping an eye on people, checking temperature, and we'll have a second PCR test at the end of the quarantine. That's going to take students from the 16th to the end of August. Those weeks, we're going to spend catching up with them. The DP1 students have continued education online, but there's lots of things. I wanted to do an extended lesson in science. I didn't have access to a lab. I wasn't able to do some work, so they'll be able to do that on campus, quarantine, lockdown on campus. Meanwhile, we'll be welcoming new students, and we're going to do exactly the same. So from the 16th to the 23rd, we'll ask them to come to Armenia. We'll take them to a hotel along the way. They'll be tested. If they clear, well, the difference is we're not going to bring them to campus. You cannot mix people who are already quarantining with people who come new. So we will be taking them somewhere else. We're going to set up a second interim campus, possibly near Lake Sevan, in a hotel, where that group will do a separate 2-week quarantine. And we'll use that time to do a pre-induction program. Arrival, test, immigration documentation, whatever is needed to be done, so that on the 6th of September, once all the new students who've arrived then have completed the quarantine, will then come on campus. So there'll be lots of welcome, welcome, welcome chanting on campus on Sunday, 6th of September. That will be the first day that the whole college community will be on campus. So then on Monday, 7th, we'll have a couple of days of whole college induction getting together to then continue with the school year.
All right, thank you so much. So this wraps up the end of our series of virtual open days. Thank you so much to our speakers for joining us and to everyone watching. We hope that you enjoyed it. I'd like to thank again Future Studios for hosting this session. And if you want more information or if you're interested, all of the other open days are available on the UWC Dilijan Facebook page. So thanks again, and we're just going to be ending off with a short video about our college.